Hello everyone, I'm cutting my Dakota Zero Waste dress here in size 14, and I came across a little problem that I thought I will record, and in case you find it useful as well. Also I'm gonna address the issue of cutting the paper and fabric together as I give instructions. I'm getting quite a few comments that people say cutting paper and fabric together, it's very cruel to the fabric scissors, which I do understand. If you're not feeling comfortable to do so, I'm going to show you the way, what you can do to avoid that in this video. So let's get started. I've got my paper pattern. I printed it in size A0, in paper size A0, and I've glued them together. There's a glue sort of line going here in the middle. And I already have this beautiful pink 100% linen fabric, which I got in from Op Shop a long time ago. But there's one slight problem. The fabric instructions for this dress tell you that I need the fabric 150 centimeters wide. And my fabric, I believe, is about 135, and I don't have enough. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut it off. I cut my pattern off on that line, which is the border of the part of the body, and these are all the sleeve, cuffs and pockets lines. So I'm gonna cut them off completely. So my paper will fit sort of up to here, and within this narrow strip of fabric, I will try to reposition whatever I can fit out of those pieces to fit them into the fabric that I have. So let's get started. Let's cut the fabric first, the paper first. So I've cut the paper pieces that didn't fit my original pattern, which is, this is the belt. The belt that was for size 14 that goes on the side of the fabric. Then I've got two cuff pieces, which originally were positioned that way. Let me turn it slightly so that you can see. So that was the belt here. This is pocket 1, pocket 2, and that is beginning of the skirt, which I cut off as well. So on that side, I've got all my body pieces, and on that side I have pieces that didn't fit, so I'm going to play around a little bit to make them fit. I have to get rid of one pocket completely to keep the dress still zero waste. I'm gonna take the second pocket. Originally that was the size of the pocket, and this is the fabric fold line, which you stitch like that. You cut off this little bit, and then you have your pocket. That will be pocket opening. I'm going to make that into a stitch line and add a little bit of seam allowance here. And I think I'm going to shorten the pocket to fit into the space that I have. And the cuffs, instead of positioning that way, I think I have just enough fabric to put them like that. So this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be cuff 1, that will be cuff 2, and then I'll have two parts. This is the original pocket, right? So I'm going to have two parts of the pocket going like that, sort of side by side. I'm going to keep them like that for now to make it easier, because I'm going to use that triangle that will be left here in the middle for the belt loops. So let me pin it first. Okay, so that worked just perfectly. I've got cuff 1, cuff 2, half of the pocket, half of the pocket. And I will have a little triangle to do the front belt loops. That was the original part of the pattern. Because I have not enough space to cut the belt off the side of the fabric, I'll have to reposition it and cut horizontally in two pieces. But because my fabric is not 3 meters long as the original instructions call for, but 4 meters, I will have enough fabric to cut the belt that way. Okay, there's another problem I have here. This is the skirt. So the original width of the skirt should be 150 centimeters, and all the pleats and pleat positions are constructed and calculated in such a way to accommodate the fabric of 150 centimeters wide. But my fabric is narrower, so I have to somehow adjust the skirt pattern to make it fit. So I know that my fabric, it's actually, I measured it, it's 140 centimeters instead of 150. So I'm 10 centimeters short on the skirt width. What I'm gonna do, I need to calculate how many pleats I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pleats. So 9 pleats. If I take away from the pleat, my general width of the skirt is still not going to change, because the spaces between the pleats are not going to touch at all. So I know that I have 9 pleats. I have to take away 10 centimeters. If I take a centimeter and a tiny little bit from each pleat, I will get rid of my 10 centimeters that I'm short of. In that case, my skirt will fit perfectly. So what am I going to do? I'm going to roughly make my each, so this is the pleat, I'm going to roughly make my each pleat like a bit shorter, like that. And I'm going to do this to every pleat that I have. And in that case, the skirt will fit. So we'll solve that problem. We'll also solve the problem of the width. The last thing I was going to address in this video is what to do if you don't want to cut the paper and fabric with your beautiful fabric shears at the same time. So you see how these pattern pieces already have positioned here. They pinned, but they're already cut. So this is exactly what you can do with the rest of the pattern. Take your simple, cheap fabric scissors, go ahead and cut all the lines. But before you start, make sure that your pattern pieces are pinned properly. So your quick close up how they're supposed to be pinned. So you see this is a separate pattern piece. It's pinned. This is another pattern piece, which is the back. It's also pinned all around. And I have no pins whatsoever on the cut lines. So there's no pins that sort of cross the cut lines like that. In that case, now if I want to go ahead and cut my pattern pieces separately, I can cut them, but the patterns will still be attached to the fabric, and I can easily cut in between the paper later on with my beautiful fabric shears and cut the fabric. Go ahead and cut my paper pieces now. Okay, as you can see, I've cut all the paper lines, all the paper cut lines, and I have them all separated now, but at the same time, they're all pinned. Every pattern piece is properly pinned, so it can still remain in its place. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my beautiful fabric shears and cut in between the paper lines to separate all the patterns on the fabric. Okay, so it's all cut. This is all my pile of patterns. This is my waist from the fabric edge, and there are some tiny triangle waists that are designed by the pattern. And this is what I have left after redesigning my pattern to accommodate the fabric width. On the original pattern, the little triangles that are left from both of the pockets were used for the belt loops for the front, so I need 2 belt loops. This I can go creative with. I can either create a simple ones from this fabric strap, just a plain stripes from that, or I can do something interesting with that triangle. I'll think about it later. What I want to tell you, be creative. When you get a pattern and you don't have enough fabric, think if you can change it yourself a little bit to accommodate and use the fabric that you already have. I think what I've done here is much better than going and buying an extra 3 meters of new fabric and letting that sit in my stash for another God knows how many years. Now I've used it and it's great, and it's gonna be a beautiful dress for my mom. I will definitely share the results with you, maybe a few bits and pieces of my sewing journey. For now, by. If you have any questions, pop them in comments or message me directly. I'll happily answer them.